This is a fairly close reproduction of the talk I did at GCAP. So if you've seen it before, sucked in. But I want to engage the audience first. Who here is actively looking for work in the games industry? All right, cool. Who currently has work in the games industry? Who doesn't want work in the games industry? Good. This is aimed at people that are been in the industry for less than 5 years or so, or are keen to get in. It is the title that I put forward was your, as in you are, greatest asset. I'll cut straight to the end slide here. You are the most important thing about your career within the games industry. All right. Now it's not just about your career and you looking for work, it's about you maintaining work. It's you building relationships and networking. And I want to talk about that. And the way I'm going to do that is by actually going back and looking at my experience within the games industry. I've been writing games professionally for about 20 years now. And seen my stuff, been a lot of places, and it's the most amazing career ever. But I've also seen people make an absolute goddamn mess of it. And I want to make sure that the people here don't do stupid things that I've done or stupid things I've seen other people do and ruin things. So it's going to be a bit self-indulgent. It's going to be going back and looking at what I've done. But what I've done is not what's important. What is important is who I've met. All right. So let's whip through this. This is the GCAP. I had an idea for a talk, and it was basically don't be a dick. Which is a bit of a short presentation, but so I thought I'd better pad it out a little bit and add some more stuff to it. So in order to do that, what I decided to do was actually putting together a presentation is too easy, right? Using PowerPoint or whatever the Mac one is, or Google Slides is easy. So I actually hand-coded this in JavaScript because why not? So it could explode at any time. Don't do that. All right, so I actually had notes separately because it's not Google Slides, so there's no presenter notes because I didn't implement that. So, I started looking at games back in '97, and at the time I didn't think anybody else was writing games in Adelaide, and there weren't many people. So I was working in defence and mining. I got headhunted, and by defence I was going to earn a lot more money, which was going to be awesome, and I got there and I hated it. And at the same time, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and I really started to think about what's important in my life. What do I want to achieve? If I could choose to do something, what would it be? And it was write games. So I quit everything, and I travelled, and I worked on a demo for a game, and I was planning to go to GDC eventually. But one of the key decisions I made was I woke up one morning and I thought, I hate everything about what I'm doing. And my key decision back then was, if I wake up feeling that way, it's time to quit and find another job. All right? Which is easy to say when you're single, you don't have a family, you don't have a mortgage. It's a bit more different now. But back then, it was easy. And a lot of the people here are in that situation where it is easy to make that choice. So that's cool. So I decided to write games using some new piece of hardware that had just come out, which was this is the Voodoo 1 3D effects, one of the first batches in Australia. And I just coded up demos, and I got some contract work so I could afford to eat and drink. And in my spare time, I would sit in my room and I'd program. And I was building all sorts of stuff, and I was having a great time. Some people tried to recruit me, and startups were a little bit dodgy, and Ratbag had turned me down at the time. And I think they said I had an attitude problem. They're probably right. And I was going to go to GDC, and I was going to go to San Francisco, and it's going to cost me like $10,000, $15,000 to get there. And this was my plan. Fortunately, something else popped up. In 1999, it was the first Australian Game Developers Conference in Sydney, and I went to that, and it was a lot cheaper and a lot closer. I had a floppy disk, 3.5-inch floppy disk, full of demos, and I was going to show it to anybody that I could in order to get a job. And I did. I got offers. People were interested in what I put together. They were interested in me as a person as well. I was spending time, meeting people, drinking. People that I met that first conference in '99, I'm still very close friends with today. And they have companies in New Zealand, they have companies around Australia, they are working all over the place from that one chance meeting, that one conference. The conferences back then were a bit different to the way they are now. They're a bit more programmer, all right? And I'm glad those times have changed. But I have a very fond memory of the first dinner at AGDC. It was a dinner, there was food and drink was thrown on, it was quite formal, and at the end they brought out these bags that they gave out to everybody. And in the bags were Nerf guns. And I still have seen nothing like it since. Being gamers, the tables were divided, spread, and turned over as barricades. Teams divided up, and people were leaping barricades, forming, they were flanking, they were attacking. I foolishly had the little suckers, the little guns that you could shoot and stick things in. I'd stuck them on my head because I thought it would like Darth Maul, and that would be hysterical. It was, but the next day I had little love bites. It took weeks to heal. So, off the back of AGDC, came back to Adelaide. I had a job interview with Ratbag Games, which was awesome, right here in Adelaide, just across the road. And there's a few ex-Ratbaggers here, which I'm happy to see. Yep, 1, oh Jesus, 4, 5, millions of us. We're everywhere. Don't get rid of us. Now, that was cool. That was 2000. Very quickly, and this is the time I spent so much time writing this code for this. It's good fun. Very quickly, people left. When I started Ratbag, a lot of the core team left. A lot of the programmers, for whatever reason, moved on to greener pastures. There were a few left behind. They also quickly left. But they were friends, and they moved elsewhere, and I could maintain those friendships. So we were left not really knowing, we're green, we were enthusiastic, we were talented, but we were figuring things out for ourselves, how to make games on this new piece of hardware, PlayStation 2. That was Ratbag back then. That's at the Grace down the road. We taught ourselves a lot back then. And every year, a lot of us would go to AGDC, would go to the conference, and I very quickly I would try and teach what I've been learning, try and give back. So speaking at a conference or speaking at something like this is a fantastic way to be seen by other people, to be noticed, which is incredibly useful. 2003, I was lucky enough to go to GDC in San Jose. At the time, I was skipping between San Jose and San Francisco. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know who was in the industry. I had no perception of who I should be meeting, what I should be doing. But I was blown away by the content and the ability of the people that I met there and what I saw. I came back inspired. I was enthusiastic. It was brilliant. So I kept talking at AGDC. This is me when I was less hairy. One of the reasons I would always talk was because I get free tickets to go and speak at the conference, which is still something I do to this very day. This year I had free tickets to last year, free tickets to Iran. I got to speak in Tehran there, which was mind-blowing. I got to Montreal at the end of the year, which is fantastic, and San Francisco, Melbourne, everything is just awesome. But one thing I will say about speaking at conferences is be prepared. Counter to what you saw here earlier on, I've given talks before where I haven't been prepared, and at one talk I did at GCAP, where when I presented what I was going to speak about, we had planned to build this particular system. When the conference came around and my talk had been accepted and I was to speak, we hadn't actually built that system. So what I spoke about was the theory of what we were going to do, which probably would have worked but didn't, and it was horrendous. It was so embarrassing for me. I fooled most of the people, but yeah, the people that mattered, yeah, they knew. So speak, share your knowledge, but be honest about what you know, okay? People appreciate that. Oh, shit. Come on. There we go. So, things were going great with Ratbag. Right? We had a great team, and we got bought out. Right? A big company, Midway Games, bought Ratbag, and finally it meant we'd have financial security. We had backing from a strong international player. We're working on a game that was a massive IP. It was based on a movie, and it had huge potential. 4 months later, they shut us down. 2 weeks before Christmas. That was shit. But what was cool from that was how the rest of the Aussie industry stepped in. How they came in and interviewed us and tried to take the talent and gave us opportunities elsewhere around Australia. And a lot of people got work around Australia and other people fled to other parts of the globe. So what happened was, my colleagues, my friends, people that I'd been working with for years and trusted and loved. Where's the button? Shit. They spread to the winds, and they started to germinate in other. That doesn't sound right, but.
Chris is having a baby.
There we go. Yeah, some of us did germinate, right? So this is more the spore that's spreading, so it's not quite right. But yeah, so this was seeds thrown to the wind. People went to Team Bondi, a Pandemic, that ArenaNet, Ubisoft. Some of them went straight to Riot, right? Now, one of the cool things is that a lot of the stuff that we worked on at Ratbag, the best ideas, the really cool stuff that worked, that was then reinvented by smart people in other companies. And those companies took those ideas and they polished them and improved them. And so now, working at Riot, I've come along and I've seen the stuff that I saw back at Ratbag that's gone through multiple generations and has been polished and honed and improved. So those ideas have spread, not just the people. So, 2006, I ended up a Pandemic in Brisbane. I went there with friends. It was fantastic. I enjoyed the challenge there. I enjoyed the people. Didn't enjoy Brisbane so much, but what was important though was the people that had spread to the other parts of the globe. I still had connection with them. It was through social media. It was still early days then, but I could keep talking. I could maintain these connections, which was valuable. So, Pandemic. We had a lot of internationals come into Brisbane to help us work on the IP that we were planning to build. And they brought in their own ideas from other parts, a lot of Canadians came in. We had Americans from other companies with a lot of experience. They came in and they shared their knowledge with us and mixed with our ideas, and we built new stuff, cool stuff. And I made new connections there. I met new people. In January 2008, EA bought out Pandemic, promising financial and creative security. We were working on a game which was a massive IP, it was based on a movie, and had huge potential. And they shut us down a year later. But before then, we were working on some cool stuff. I got sent to GDC, and I got to meet a lot of my friends again that I had spread to the four winds, and re-establish connections there. But another thing that happened was I was at a random party talking to a random guy about a game that he was working on that I loved. And he gave me a ticket to a party, and I got to see Skid Row, which is an 80s hair metal band. And it was in a really dodgy part of town in the Tenderloin. And I'd just been thrown out of the Sony party. Like I said, don't do what I do what I say. So I decided I'd go to this other party. I had one ticket to get in. I had a friend of mine who I'd met back in '99 at the first AGDC, and he still runs a company in New Zealand. And we walked through the Tenderloin, which, if you've been through San Francisco, it's a bit dodgy, particularly at night. And to the point where I'm certain we heard one gunshot on the way there. We were scared. Well, not petrified, but we were cautious, anxious. And we're walking along, we passed a little corner store, and this little old lady came out behind us, and she's standing behind us, muttering to herself at the lights, and she's just giggling louder and louder, and she finally says, "You boys are in the wrong part of town." So we got to this party. I went inside, it was amazing. I couldn't get on ticket with my friends. I went out and said, "Sorry mate, you have to walk back through the Tenderloin by yourself." Which he did, he survived. But at this party, I met some other guys from Pandemic in LA. It was a Nordic party. These were big Swedish guys, like Vikings, drinking at the bar. And I was wearing a Pandemic shirt, so we ended up drinking together. And I ended up going out talking with them and bonding and getting horrifically drunk. But the benefit of that was when Pandemic did shut down in Brisbane, I had work in LA. I managed to work with those same people because I built a bond, a friendship, a connection. There was, because they knew my name, they were more aware of my technical ability as well. So I wasn't just another name, I was a face. All right? That was important. So when EA shut down, again, people spread. They went all over the place. You can see from the list down the bottom, and you can actually click on them too, this is really cool. Alright. So yeah, I spent far too much time on that. So you could say, okay, me getting work with the team in LA, is that like a form of nepotism? Was it because was I cheating? You know? And I wouldn't say I was cheating, but it's not really nepotism either. Basically, when you're looking for people to work with, it's a balance. You want ability, of course. You want a culture fit. You want people that can work with you. Doesn't mean they are identically the same. Doesn't mean they are the same color or the same sex. They have the same ideals as you. They can work with you to produce the things that you want to produce. And trust, all right? They need to be able to trust you. This guy, obviously, he values trust over everything else, over ability. Obviously, over ability, but yeah. So, yes, I did made it easy for me to get work elsewhere because I'd met people beforehand and I'd built a bond. So, where are we up to? 2010. There you go. So, Pandemic closed in 2009. I remember, was Pandemic EA? Yeah, Pandemic became EA. Closed in 2009. I remember I worked remotely then, and I was sitting in my office and I was doing some work, and we used to have a little chat program running, like an ICQ thing, which is like IRC, kind of like Slack, but an earlier version of it. And it had little lights next to each of the names that indicated people's activity, whether they were currently online, whether they were idle, or whether they were offline. I remember sitting there that day and we'd been told that everyone was being shut down. There was a big meeting and I watched these lights turn off one by one as my friends were let go. And it was a horrible time. I just paid the first mortgage on my house and I had no work. Fortunately, I made some good friends at Sony and I managed to pull in some work at Sony UK through my connections. Again, they knew me not because I was a name, but because I was also a face. I'd spent time with them and I had spoken at conferences. I'd spent time writing blogs, sharing what I knew, and that made it easy for me to get that work. So in 2011, the purple lines are me traveling around working with different places, by the way. Actually, 2010, to go back, I got work at THQ, and that was a full-time work, pretty much. It was a full year I was working there. And we're working on this massive IP. It was based on a movie. And yeah, it was going to be huge. And mainly because of the GFC, I mean, we all know it had a fairly big impact on the Australian industry. And this game, which was by far one of the best games I've worked on at the time, was shut down because THQ was struggling. And all those amazing developers were let go. So for the third time in a row, I'd lost a family, my workmates. But they spread further. So by now you can see there's people working all around the globe. In 2012, oh, hang on, too soon.
Just keep looping that.
We'll keep looping, that's a good one, yeah. So what happened in 2012 was like an indie studio explosion. Because the big studios had collapsed on their own weight, little ones started up, bright, intelligent, dedicated people that had the balls to stay in Australia, or had no choice, they couldn't leave because of family, managed to scrape together teams and start putting stuff together. And they were brave enough to attempt to build small studios like a lot of you are. And this is like the explosion of the Aussie games industry, particularly in Melbourne at the time. Yeah, that looks like Melbourne people that have been sprayed out. I'm not bitter about Melbourne stealing stuff. But I do like the fact that we've got this fund happening, by the way. We've got more chance of keeping our talent here in South Australia, which is fucking awesome. Now, part of this is infrastructure, hubs, like this one, right? That helps small teams to get together, to grow, to incubate, to spread their seed, and produce awesome games, hopefully. These things allow you to leverage your co-worker base. You can make connections through other people's connections. You can make friends in places like this. And you can use other people's friends. And they can become your friends, and they can become your network. They will help you. So these things are valuable. These conferences, these talks are valuable. So I kept traveling. I kept speaking. I kept blogging. I kept trying to share what I was learning as much as I could. And as you share things, particularly for me, tech, you have to really be careful about what you need to be sure, right? That what you're saying is correct, because there's a lot of people out there that are smarter than you. So you spend a lot more time understanding what it is you think you understand. And just writing an article, putting it together, makes you learn a lot about what it is you're trying to teach, to show. Right? I really value it, recommend it. So I traveled a lot through my own company. I just basically used my connections that I had around the globe in order to haul myself out to anybody that would pay me money to work on their games. And it worked reasonably well. Again, conferences, going to GDC, going to GCAP, going to conferences, invaluable, all right? One thing I will say though about conferences and drinking culture, it is difficult sometimes. It's so easy to get carried away, drink too much, and obliterate your next day, or even worse, make an absolute dick of yourself at a party, all right? It is work. You are there to sell yourself. You don't want to be that drunken dick that's been abusive or overly drunken. So when you go out to these things, watch how much you drink. I've done this numerous times and made a dick of myself, so I'm speaking from experience here. Just, especially with the youngsters here, don't drink too much. I sound like your dad now.
You are again.
I am. So 2017, this is last year. All right, 22 people, I've mapped their paths around their careers based on where they started in Ratbag. There's 57 companies there. This is 57 companies that if I'm an arsehole, they know I'm an arsehole and I won't get work there. But if I'm good at what I do and people like me, I've got a chance of working for them or with them, or leveraging their networks as well. So this is just an indication of how much your network will grow over time. And given current social media and stuff, it can grow a lot faster now than it could back then. Okay? So one of the interesting things here as well is that there are people that I work with now at Riot that I started with, that I met in 1999 at that first conference. Okay? There are, I think, 4 people from Ratbag there. There's a couple of guys from THQ. There's people that work at Pandemic. People like to work with people that they work well with, that they trust, that they have a culture fit with. So building your network, your friendships, and not being an arsehole is really, really important for your career. It's obvious, I know, but can't be overstated. So obviously, you want to be good at your job, right? You want to maximize your ability. You do that through education. You do it through practice. You do it through experience. You want to find a good mentor. It takes time. It takes effort. You also want to be known to be good at your job. If you're the best person at something, who's going to know? You need some way of getting that information out there. And the best way to do that is to share that information. So you need a reputation for that. So how do you build a reputation? You need to market your ability like a game. All right? You, as a company, are selling a game. As an individual, you're selling yourself. As an individual that runs a company, you can treat it the same way. So what I'm saying is, attend conferences. You know, build your network, meet people, and learn from people. Be humble, be honest, be friendly, be respectful, make a good impression. At Riot, there's a word. I don't normally like words that are just joined from other words, but there's one word they use, which is ambitious, which is humble and ambitious. So you try your hardest. You have lofty goals, but be humble about it. All right? Own what you don't know. If you don't know something, don't pretend you do. You know, look for advice, look for help, make friends, go to the parties. This is one of the GCAP parties. It might have actually been an AGDC. Now, one of the weird things is, I didn't realise until after I put these slides together, that the girl standing behind me, I spoke at the same conference as her in Tehran last year. I didn't know that I'd met her before. I thought that was freaky. So this is the Tehran conference. Also, if you want a challenge, my record for GDC is 7 party invites in one night. I made it to 5. And I was at meetings at the 9 o'clock session the next day. I won't say that I stayed awake, but I was there. So build your reputation, speak at conferences. No one want to know what you can do unless you show them. How hard is it to get into a conference? In order to get accepted as a speaker, you need to be able to prove that you have something worth telling. And the way you do that is by having a series of articles or a game that's sold in millions of copies, or even 500,000. That will work too. But be willing to speak and share what you've learned. You know, be honest about it. Even failing is worth sharing. We learn from failure, or we hope to. Go to gatherings in your local areas as well, like these types of things. As Ella said before, the 5 people closest to you are an indication of your income and position in life. So surrounding yourself with people that are doing what you want to do is worthwhile. Be the person. Now, what's the word? There's a phrase there somewhere. We'll get to it later, don't worry. So, like I said, I work at Riot now. It's an amazing company. I work with amazing people. I am daunted by the ability of the people around me every single day. It's scary, all right? But that's the place to be. You know, you don't want to be the best person in a small room. You want to be the bottom of the rung mid-rung. Mid. In a big company full of amazing people that challenge you. It's a huge company. It's spread worldwide. There's thousands of employees. We have a user base of 100 million people playing our games every month. It's just ridiculous. And I love it. And like I said before, there's 4 of us there from Rapam. The other 2 from THQ. These connections are maintained over time. Like one of the guys there I consider be my best mate, and we lost contact for numerous years. But then one day at GDC we caught up, we went out, we had drinks, and he said, "Oh, I'm working at this amazing place. Have you heard of League of Legends?" I said, "Nah, I never heard of it." I said, "Oh, there's this game and it's competitive." And I said, "Oh, geez, it sounds boring, man." But no, it's absolutely fantastic. So, and so I'm in constant communication with these guys. I work from Adelaide for Riot, which I'm so freaking lucky to be able to do that. So let's try and wind this up. It's going forever. I'm thirsty. Game dev is a passion for most of us. Not just a job, but a job we love or we strive to love. Treat the people around you with care and consideration, with respect. Surround yourself with the people you want to be like. That's what I was trying to remember. Be like the people you want to be surrounded by. Your network will grow rapidly. Make sure that the reputation that spreads with it is a good one. Years ago, I made the decision to quit my job because it was soul-destroying. I swore that day, that the day I woke up and thought, damn, I have to go to work, and I really don't want to, it's the day I start looking for a new job. And I still live by that. I love the job I have, and I have quit jobs since then. I love the people around me, their passion, their skill, their personalities, their diversity. It makes me a better person. My work is hard, but what I do can be exhausting and stressful, but it is so rewarding. And I hope that this talk gives some of you the perspective to make solid choices moving forward in your careers, and that you too can enjoy this industry as I do. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
It's not entirely relevant to like 90% of the talk.
That's fine.
But you said you work for Riot from here in Adelaide. Like,
Yeah.
How did that come about?
They offered me work, and I said I'm not moving. I had a very particular set of skills that were valued, highly valued, and they needed somebody that could do what I did. So I got to say my conditions. Plus, I had people there that were in the hierarchy that I had worked with for a long time that trusted me. Riot does have a fair few remote workers, but most of them are senior, or all of them are senior, and a few international remote workers, which is even rarer. So there's 3 of us now in Australia that work for Riot, from Brisbane, Canberra, and here in Adelaide.
Like working remotely, how does that? Because you've worked in both scenarios, how does that differ from working within the studio?
It's harder.
So, like in regards to communication,
you need to work so much harder with communication, right? I'm a programmer, so programmers, they have to trust someone. They're dealing with someone's code, they need to trust that code. And the way that you build that trust is by meeting them face to face, and by spending time with them face to face, and going to a bar and drinking lemonade with them at a bar, and just building a relationship, right? I mean, I have programming friends that don't drink as well, right? And so that's perfectly normal. But I travel to LA every 6 weeks, 2 months, and I spend a week there, and most of my time is spent communicating, meeting people face to face, meeting new people come in, and just maintaining those bonds with humans. It's a soft skill. You need to be able to work a lot harder to communicate. We use Slack a lot, we use Google Hangouts, daily meetings, and constant communication. If you're there, it's easy. You just stop and you talk to someone, or you're going to the water cooler and you're getting a drink and you just chat. You don't have that when you're on the other side of the world and the time zones are all messed up. But yeah, I've been doing remote work now for 9-10 years. And it's something you just have to work at. It's good. Any other questions? Yeah.
What was the company in China on your back?
I did some work for Virtuous. I got to work on the Final Fantasy HD remaster for PS3. That was a fun job. I'll tell you about it later. Yeah, I did a number of optimization jobs for them in China.
Did you ever keep contact with people that you disliked because you
No.
felt that it might be useful?
No. Some people I dislike are still in the industry, and you're friendly, but it's not people that I pursue. And I don't want to work with people I don't like. My I suppose spiritual health is important. I want to be around people that I enjoy being around. And I'm fortunate enough that with Riot, I found a group of people that are that have the same ideals as me, that fit with my worldview with regards to development and game development. But yeah, I don't want to work with people I don't like, except for Dan. Yeah.
We've got a question here from the live stream on Facebook. It says you've talked a lot about moving for each company, but do you see remote work rising with overseas studios?
Yeah. I have moved around, but all the stuff I've moved around for, except for Brisbane, has been remote work. So I have pretty much exclusively done remote work for those companies. For family, my family's important, and my extended family is important, so I'm not willing to disrupt them. I want them to stay here in Adelaide. It's hard enough dealing with family, like moving them all over the place. So, the remote work is good, but the issue is trust. How do you ensure that you have people that you know you can work with? And starting off remote is difficult. Starting working within a studio and then splitting remote is much easier. Which is why having a broad network of connections makes it easier for you because you've worked with people before, you know. So yes, definitely remote work is possible. I have a guy I met in Tehran runs a game company from Japan through Malaysia, and nobody is in the same city. They are scattered all over the place, and they develop really, really well together, and they produce successful content, and they've been doing it for a number of years. Definitely feasible. But it is harder. Yeah, anyone else? Yeah.
I asked this out, and I'm sure we've mentioned it all, but from a networking point of view, from a career development point of view, from a personal point of view, doing a talk at a place like this is a really good thing, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you highly recommend it, right?
I do highly recommend it. But what I would also recommend is that if people don't want to talk but have an idea for a talk they'd like to hear, that they let Adam know as well.
There's actually a Google Doc that some smart guy set up.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah. All right. Again, sorry about the stuff up at the start, but thank you for coming here tonight, and thank you.